Hey y'all, welcome back to Let's Talk About Courtney. I'm your host, Courtney Carroll, your licensed therapist in Washington State and North Carolina, and your connection coach, and of course, the host of this podcast. It has been a wild few weeks, and I feel like it's been a while, and I understand, and I want to appreciate those few people that have reached out to me and asking about the recordings and if I'm still doing it. Of course, I'm still doing it. I've not invested in almost a year of my life to not continue the podcast. It's just sometimes you have to listen to your body. Sometimes you have to take breaks, and that's completely healthy. And if I don't want to say I preach this, but when I work with clients and I work with them like, hey, listen to your body. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not overextend yourself. And if I didn't do that, what kind of therapist would I be? Not listening to myself. And I feel like it's been a hard couple weeks just in general. And I didn't want this to be something that's just added to my plate. That should never be what content is made for, at least in my own perspective. But I'm really excited about it being July. June was long and it was beautiful. My daughter graduated preschool and is going into kindergarten in the fall, and that was amazing. If you've ever experienced a preschool graduation, they're the cutest thing in the entire world. June was busy with clients. I had a really great month with clients, and I've just been going through a lot in my own personal life. So as I've told you, if you ever listened to my podcast before, one, welcome back. And two, I don't ever want to put out content or anything just to put them out. I don't want to record a podcast just to record a podcast. I don't want to post just to post. Is that the rule book? Is that what people tell me I should be doing? Absolutely. You should do a post a day. You should do this. You should do that to launch a business or to expand. And my answer is no. Heck no. I don't want to do that to myself. If I'm not excited to do something, I don't want to be doing it, and if that looks however it looks, y'all know and understand by this time we're in our 40s episodes. Next month is August 29th is my birthday. I'll be turning 37, and we are gonna celebrate a year of Let's Talk About It with Courtney and my launch of my coaching business, and I'm excited. In a couple weeks, I have a really good friend of mine, a mentor. She would say she's not a mentor, but someone I really look up to and is phenomenal at what she does. And she's coming on very soon for an episode. And I have very exciting news by our anniversary date for how we're going to expand and launch this podcast and other channels. So that is what we've been doing in the background. Me and my associate, Kendra, she's amazing. She does a lot of web design and everything, and we've been working on expanding the podcast and putting it in different spots like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and all the things. It takes a lot of work. You have to upload everything to each data and all these things, and it's just, that's been taking up all the extra time I've had free. So yeah. Anyway, so if you're new, welcome to Let's Talk About Courtney. If you're wondering how sporadic am I sounding right now, that's just kind of how I do things. I treat this as almost like a therapy session. I don't always know what I'm going to talk about until about 5 or 10 minutes before I start. Just like if I start a session, my laptop is over there. That's why I always look over there. And I'm like, I don't really know what I'm going to see or do in that session because I haven't seen a client in a week or two. But I think the topic that's coming up this week specifically, and I just got off a session, is what to do when life's not fucking fair. Do you ever felt like you're handed a bunch of cards and you're like, how the heck does that happen? For me, I do this thing like, I'm a good person. How do bad things keep happening? How does that work out? And I've had the most Mondays of Mondays weeks. I've had a very challenging week in general. I had 2 tires pop, which means I had to buy 4 new tires. And fortunately, I needed tires, but unfortunately is the expense and how it happened, and or not how it happened. It's just they popped and you have to fix it. All the things, right? And then my sink started leaking yesterday. And I'm like, on what earth? Why is this happening to me? You know? And I hear this a lot in sessions, and I can imagine like at least 10 of my clients in my headspace talking about like, Courtney, why isn't this fair? Why is my partner not working at the marriage or the relationship and I'm doing it all? Or why is it easier for that person than me? Like, gosh, comparison is the thief of all joy. How many times have you heard that? Comparison, I've said it before and I'll say it the rest of my life. Comparison of trial and error and pain and everything is also the comparison that steals all sadness and everything that you're carrying. Like, that is a thief too. Like, why don't they have it worse, or they do have it worse and I can't feel that way? If you're going through a hard time, you're going through a hard time. You know what I mean? Like, you're going through a hard time. I don't wish my week this week on tires and sinks and everything on anyone. I hate that for anyone, and I especially hate it for myself. You know, it is just what it is right now, and that's okay. It's that week, and I'm just always hoping the reason why things happen is for a bigger purpose. And I will give you an example because I feel like you're wanting that. For example, I told my dad the next day after my tires popped, I was like, you know, maybe the universe, God is protecting me because it would have been worse on a freeway or something, and it was time for new tires anyway. But it takes a while to get there. It takes so long to get to a point where you can try to see good and bad shit, right? I use this example so much, and I'm going to use my divorce. Like, it's so hard to know, like, when you're going through a thick of a breakup, a divorce, whatever you're going through, maybe you just recently lost someone. That is such freaking hardship. Like, and the grief work that comes with any of those things, relationship loss, losing a friend, losing a parent, losing a sibling, all of those things are terribly hard. And everyone always wonders, why me? And what got me through my divorce, especially, was rewording it and say, why not me? Do I appreciate that I was cheated on? Do I appreciate that there was lying and stuff in my marriage? Absolutely not. And I don't validate anything, but I try to ask myself, can anything good come from this? Just like my tires this week, could anything good from this? I could have been on a freeway with my daughter in the car and it could have been worse, you know? So I'm glad 2 tires popped literally driving up to where I parked my car outside of my house. Thank God we were there and it was safe, you know? And if I keep thinking of like, woe is me, I would be in a puddle. I did, like, you get to feel it. You get to be frustrated. Who wants to replace tires? And I know I'm using my example, but that's what I have this week. And same with the sink yesterday. Like, I'm like, of course it's the sink. Add it to the list. Why not? And thankfully, my friend's husband was able to stop by. He's already on his way home, and he fixed my sink, and all is going to be well. But the part I hear, and I've heard a couple times today in my sessions, this is my morning sessions today, is why do bad things happen to good people? And that's a loaded question, and it's not easily answered. I just happen to believe in the concept that there's purpose in all heartache. There's purpose in all pain. That even I can't clearly see it. Like, how would I have known Sunday driving home, like popping tires would be a thing for me? But I believe that there's purpose in, like, well, at least I would hate for it to have happened anywhere else. Thank God, thank my lucky stars, thank the universe that it happened on my street. When it comes to relationships, I've been married. I was married for 11 years and together for almost 13. We have a beautiful daughter, and I was engaged since then too, and I had to break that off. And it's so easy for me to tell you, like, it broke my heart to leave both relationships. It devastated me. No one gets married thinking, at least that I know of. I've been doing my kind of work for almost a decade. I don't think I've ever met someone that walked in and they're like, can't wait to get divorced, you know, can't wait, like accepting an engagement, can't wait to break up with him in a few months, you know, or buy a house, can't wait to have that fail, you know, or we have to, whatever happens, or sell it, we have to get rid of it, you know. Gosh, that reminds me of the house we bought in North Carolina, my ex-husband and I, and we spent so much time and energy really making that house like tailored to us as much as we could. It was a very modern home, but we worked really hard together to make it our style as well. If you met me, I'm not the most modern person. That's more of the aesthetics of my ex, but we, gosh, put a lot of love into that house to make it ours. We would have done that if we thought, oh, we're divorcing in a couple years and we're going to sell it. And so think about that. Think about everything you're investing your time into. No one does it to hope it fails. Just like we can use this podcast. Like I would never create this with either malicious intent or for failure. I would never think, oh, can't wait to, gosh, I think I'm at like 41, 42 episodes. You would think I would know. I don't. I've been uploading a lot. I've been trying to figure out, it's a lot of episodes. But do you think I would ever create that much content, and how much time and effort that cost me and I wasn't paid for, to have it fail or have it not to be relatable or help people? Heck no. So when you believe and you invest your time and think about your body and working out, like the idea is it only gets fitter and better and healthier, right? You don't think, can't wait to work out 5 days a week and see no results. That's fun, right? Said no woman ever, by the way. Maybe men, I don't know. Never been a man, so I would have no idea. But think about that. So we can do logistics and thinking about what I put my time and energy in, and whether it fails or doesn't fail, would I do it? That's it, right? Not everything going our way. Would we still have done it? Like, let's go back to would I have still married the same person? Absolutely, 100 times over. We have a beautiful daughter. We had a decade plus of life, and we learned a lot from each other. I could never speak for him, nor do I want to or ever will, but we learned so much for each other. We grew up from each other, and in my perspective, I wouldn't be who I am without him. And we don't have to say it, we wouldn't have our daughter, so like there's no option. Gosh, I don't want, again, I said we. I'm sorry if he ever listens to this. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to agree, but there's no regrets because we have a great daughter, at least in my perspective. And I do think he would agree with that. Like, how can you regret when you have a wonderful kid with someone? Could we have done things differently, myself included? Of course. And then when I think of transitioning over to my last relationship where I was engaged, I would have never moved back home to Washington without this person in my life. I had talked about moving back to Washington for years. It was part of the early days of my separation with my ex. We talked about the move to Washington, that it was obviously on the radar, and I remember telling him, like, you know, I'm going to stay here as long as I can, as long as we co-parent well, and I would probably revisit it when she's going into kindergarten, and then Hazel's going into kindergarten this fall. It's wild. So even though there was plans to possibly come back to Washington State, like, I don't know if I would have without that relationship. And that's wild. I'm now licensed in Washington State. I live close to my family. I have really great friends here. And yes, so much of me misses North Carolina. But I wouldn't be here in my life creating this content. I don't know if I would have ever actually done the podcast or done the social media thing. As extroverted as I am, I'm pretty introverted. So it's a wild full circle. And I think that's something I want to encourage you, is sometimes we have to think about the bigger picture and not in the current stand where life is. And I think when we're present and we're in this situation where, like this week, as I've shared, it has not been a great week for me. It hasn't. Um, and I can all day dance around the idea of like, could it have been worse, all these things, but it just doesn't help. But can I find purpose in all of it? You know, like on Monday, my dad was able to help me with my car. I got to spend time with him. We fixed, I needed new tires anyway, right? Like, it's not the worst issue. It'd suck so bad if I didn't need new tires. So if you have to do that and you had new tires, I'm so sorry. Like, it could have obviously been worse. And hopefully I think of that particular thing, tires, as an investment for my future. I won't need tires anytime soon, and now they're warranted and all the things, right? But when we're thinking big picture, and the client I saw this morning telling me, like, I just wish something was gonna go right. It's not right yet. We have to keep moving forward. The only other option is falling apart. And I don't know about you, that especially as a single mom, like, that's not an option for me. That doesn't mean I don't cry or I have bad days and all those things. I was in therapy yesterday. Yes, therapists go to therapy. Like, I always think that's so funny when people don't think we do. And having to really, like, what's the wording I want to use? Having to really, like, look at yourself and ask yourself, what can I get from this? Where's the purpose? What am I looking at right now? And if you can do that, if you can say, hey, I might not get the point of this, like my divorce, like, I remember in the beginning of the separation, like, praying literally to God, like, please make this worth it. Please make this make sense. It makes me emotional because it, like, brings me back there. Make this make sense. You better use something really good here with it. And at that point, I rarely ever worked with divorced couples. I was an established couples therapist, and I had just started my private practice that year. In no way did I ever anticipate my marriage ending that year. And the most beautiful thing is, like, I built my business. I did all of that despite my divorce, despite all of the things I went through. And that's crazy cool when you can think of it that way, you know? I would not specialize with divorce and infidelity now the way I do and the way I work with it if I hadn't gone through divorce and infidelity. I wouldn't work with military if I hadn't ever been with someone that was in the military, let alone welcomed in that community. And the men and women that I've worked with over the years that are in military or first responders actually relate to me because I do understand what they're going through. I've done deployments, I've done long distance and trainings, and having to like couples therapy and recovery in the midst of that, it makes me not just relatable, but they know I understand, and I would not have that without that. And the direction I'm in now, like, helping, especially in this, like, last couple months, where, like, the universe is sending me women that are transitioning in their lives and into what's next. I'm currently doing that. And how cool is it that the universe lines that up? There is purpose in all heartbreak. There is purpose. And what is it called? Redirection is actually redirection. Rejection is redirection. That's what I meant to say. And if we can keep that in mind and still be human and still grieve and still be sad, that there is more purpose and that there is something better coming. Sometimes I feel like that's such a privileged thing to say, that there's something better coming. But the truth is, like, I have to hold hope that there is. I have a tattoo. I don't think I have a few, but it says hope. I don't even know. Sorry. It's like my camera doesn't really pick it up. And I specifically picked this tattoo with an arrow, and it says hope in the middle. And I got this tattoo when I was going through one of my ex-husband and I's first time dealing with infidelity in our marriage. And I remember needing hope that we will get through it. And what you don't know about arrows, maybe you do, right? And to have an arrow go forward, you need to pull back. So I've always kept that. I've never regretted getting it because it's a reminder to me to have hope for the future. And even though I don't understand, and even though I have to reevaluate and have to go backwards, sometimes I have to back up, and maybe I feel like I'm failing something, or I'm not where I think I should be at my age. Again, I'm turning 37 next month. If you ever thought I thought I'd be divorced and moving and all the things, and I just never would have called it. But I have to trust myself and the universe, and if you're a believer in whatever you believe, whatever higher power you believe in, that God has us going forward. And if not God, myself. And I have hope. And if we don't have hope, what do we have? That doesn't mean I'm oblivious. That doesn't mean I'm naive. It truly means like the only other option is to be hopeless. And I'm not about that. One, it's not the business I do. And there's something I tell clients: it's okay that you don't have hope now. I will hold that hope for you until you're able to carry it yourself. So if that is you and that speaks to you, and if you are like trying to lean in, and maybe you're listening to podcast after podcast because you're trying to get help, but maybe you aren't ready for therapy, but maybe at this point you are. And if you don't have someone, please reach out to me. I have 2 ways of contacting: is waymarkcounseling.com or courtneycarroll.com, or you can find my social media or comment on the YouTube posts and I will get a hold of you. And if I'm not the right fit, I will help you find the right fit. Like, I can hold hope for you to get through your next chapter, just like I have to hold hope for myself. I have to hope that there's meaning in everything. And I know it sounds as silly as my tire situation. I had to hope the reason why I was like 300 feet from my house and both tires go out and I'm pulling into, it's not a driveway, it's like a street parking. Like, it could have been worse in a different way. It could have been a freeway, like I said earlier. I have to just trust like that it happened, and you buy the tires, you fix them, you take care of the situation, and all is well, and it happened for a reason, right? I know that's kind of silly. And again, I don't mean to make this naive or feel like that's privileged to say. I just truly, in my core, I can't live any other way other than thinking if I don't understand something that I will later. Just like my divorce, just like ending an engagement. I never thought I would end in an engagement. I accepted a ring. I wanted to marry this person, and I never thought I would be calling something off. And now I get to help people that have had to call off engagements, have had to break up with someone after their divorce. Like, people think that is not made for the weak, by the way. Breaking up or your first real heartbreak after divorce, because you think like one and done, right? At least like that's what I thought. But it's not, you know? And I learned so much about myself in both my divorce and my breakup. And even through dating, and since my divorce, I got married, well, not married super young. I think we were 23, 24. I think he was 24 and I was 23. Something like that. Like, I didn't date a lot before. And when I went back started dating again after my separation / divorce, like, I didn't know how to do it. Apps didn't exist, you know? Like, remember, like, eHarmony, is that what it's called? Or Match? Like, that's it. And there was definitely no apps on our phones back when I was 21, 22, and it's a whole different world. And I've had to navigate that, which again, now I help single women and men work through dating and how to learn from yourself while doing it. I would have never known dating was to teach me so much. And I have a feeling you would want to know why or how. I started realizing if I dated different, I'm only into men. So like these guys I was dating, I remember whenever something ended with a relationship, whether it was just a date or two or a few weeks, or I think dated someone for about 2 or 3 months, leaving, and instead of, I was always sad. Like, breakups are hard, even if they're like short-term things. And what did I learn, and what do I want now in a partner? And I learned a lot about dating that way. Instead of thinking about how devastating or why didn't it work out, why didn't he want to continue, or why didn't I want to continue with him, and are my standards too high, or am I settling, or all of those questions that we all ask ourselves in that. And I just remember now, like, how I look at dating is, if it doesn't work out, what did I love about that person? What kept me interested? what is something about them that I would want in a future partner? Not having a lot of experience before getting married, and I know a ton of people get married young too, is not knowing that it's a learning tool. Instead, because people just think of dating as, oh, this is hard work. It is also an incredible learning tool. I now know, like, I can think of a few things I never thought I would look, well, not never thought. Gosh, I remember dating someone that was really into like rugby and like involved and had a full-time job and all these things. I'm like, how cool is it that he does that? That's an amazing hobby, and gosh, that helps being in shape too. And like, I'm like, oh, someone with a good hobby, that would be great. And especially involved in a community. I'm like, I would have never thought to date someone like that, like not like that, but with those hobbies. And now I'm like, that's really cool. I remember dating someone, and they do karaoke, and they're so adventurous and they're funny, and I was like, gosh, he is truly himself, and I love that. Great sense of humor and all different things. Those are things you can look for while you're dating too. And I would never be able to give you this advice if I hadn't gone through breakups, dating, and all the things. I know there's a lot going on in the world. I don't think any of us, or at least if you're listening to this, you know what's going on in the world. You're watching the news. Maybe you're in a hard chapter in your life, and you're wondering, like myself and other clients of mine, like, one, how's this fair, and two, when does it get better, or is there anything I can do, or anything like this? Like, part of it is just pause and breathe, and like, nothing feels right, and that's okay that nothing feels right, but keeping hope that it will get better. If there's anything I want you to part with, especially in the midst of summer, today is July 10th, it's Friday. I will most likely post this today or tomorrow. And it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay if you think this crazy girl Courtney's recording this podcast and she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's okay too. By the way, you can get off anytime. You can end it. Right? But what if this girl Courtney shares her vulnerability and her story so I can feel seen and heard, because no one talks about it? What if I might not be able to hold hope right now that things are going to get better, but Court can? And what if I can take that concept of that hope tattoo and what Courtney's going through and what she's gone through, and that if she's able to find purpose and start looking at rejection as redirection, that maybe I can too. And the only thing I know is I've always survived every bad day I've had before today. I'm still here. I'm still standing. And so are you if you're listening to this episode. And do I have all the answers for everyone? No. But I do have the answer is, not everything happens for exactly a reason, but I do think everything happens with purpose. And just because it doesn't make sense right now doesn't mean it won't make sense later. And again, reminding yourself it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to trust that it could be, though. It will all work out, because it always has had to work out before. Maybe not the way you thought. Definitely not the way I thought. But there is reasoning behind all. And if you're ready to do the work and you're excited, or maybe you're leaving motivated, if you don't have a therapist, again, reach out to me. I will help you find someone if it's not me. Or also get excited. Write down in a journal, like, what did you take from today? Where in your life do I feel like do you feel like you're failing, or you're not getting it? Where can you find and plug in hope? And ask yourself, will this happen? Is there any purpose behind it? And I know, as silly as the tire story is, there's purpose behind it. So I hope you can connect to this and it feels great to you. And if it doesn't, I'm sorry. This is my rant of tires and sinks and clients and where my life is right now. And I hope it resonates and helps. And y'all, be safe. Have a great July. I will be posting all this stuff soon, and we'll have all the answers to what's coming next for the podcast in the next month. And take care of yourself. And until next time, y'all.